The Elements of Harmony and Save Your World by Arcade Striker JK5. Chapter 27. Uh, Master Right for user. Tracy, what is it? We're about to start the show. Yes, but me and the rest of the cast were kind of wondering, since it is the gala, and we've all been kind of hoping there was a chance to. Well, Tracy, I mean, every pony really is expecting you to sing it. Well, well, it's kind of your job. Why not? Everybody, it's time for the gala. Because I can't finally believe we're here. And with everything that Arcade Striker set up, this is sure to be the best night ever at the gala. At the gala. At the gala. In the garden. I'm going to see them all. All the creatures. I'll befriend them at the gala. At the gala. All the birdies and the critters, they will love me big and small. We'll become good friends forever, right here at the gala. All our dreams will come true, right here at the gala. At the gala. At the gala. It's amazing. I will sell them. That's you heard of. All my apple-tastic treats. Yummy, yummy. Hunger ponies, give us samples. They'll buy them, we'll buy them. Caramel apples, apple sweets, give us some. And I'll earn a lot of money for the apple family. All our dreams, all our hopes, from now here until after. All that we've been wishing for will happen at the gala. At the gala. At the gala. All the royals, they don't meet the vanity. They will see I'm just as regal at the gala. At the gala, I will find him, my Prince Charming, and how gallant he will be. And he will treat me like a lady tonight at the gala. This is what we've been waiting for, to have the best night ever. Each of us will live our dreams tonight at the gala. At the gala. Been dreaming, I've been waiting to fly with those great ponies, the Wonderbolts, the daring chicks, spinning round and having kicks. Before for crowds of thousands, they'll shower us with diamonds. The Wonderbolts will see me right here at the gala. Oh, we long for, oh, we dream, our happy ever after. Finally, we'll all come true right here at the great gala. At the gala. I am here at the Grand Gala, for it's the best party. But for one thing it was missing, was a pony named Pinky. For I am the best at parties, all the ponies will agree. Ponies playing, ponies dancing, with me here at the Grand Gala. Happiness and laughter at the gala, at the gala. At the gala. At the gala, with the princess, is where I'm going to be, she'll be. And we'll talk all about magic and what I've learned in COC. It's going to be so special as she takes time just for me. This'll be the best night ever. Into the gala we must go, we're ready now and we're all aglow. Into the gala, let's go in and have the best night ever. Into the gala, now's the time, we're all ready and we look divine. Into the gala, meet new friends. Into the gala, sell some apples. Into the gala, find my prince, who found great as a wonderful is to me, to smile, to find, to prove, to love, to talk. Into the gala, into the gala. And we'll have the best night ever at the gala. There. I think I just gave everybody something nice to enjoy. Yes. Can I continue now? Be Trixie's guests. We've got a lot of work ahead of us at the studio. See you, Trixie. Fires exploded in the sky over Canterlot, briefly turning the night sky as bright as day. The stars sparkled, shimmering as if alive. The moon hung low, hanging over the palace. Pegasus, dressed in the uniforms of the Wonderbolts, sped through the air, trailing smoke or flame behind them and waving intricate patterns. The streets were filled with ponies, zebras, and a dozen other races, all mingling together. Megan looked out her carriage's window as it slowly made its way down to the thoroughfares. She let out a slow whistle and shook her head. Alright, at least it's not a glorified picnic anymore. So he leaned back and looked up the carrots at the ceiling. How far they've come. Then he reached across his seat and gently squeezed Megan's hand. He opened his mouth, but a particularly bright and large fireworks display drew his eyes to the window. Sarah's like bleats that time surprise Spike and I got into that barrel of the Moon Chick's old fireworks at one gala. Danielle was leaning out the window, snapping picture after picture with her phone's camera, turned to Danny and slid her thumb across her phone's screen. What happened, Uncle Danny? Before Danny could speak, Molly, sitting across from Danielle, reached out and clasped her hand around niece's phone. It's a rather short story involving a bit too much dire, an unlocked crank at the Moon Chicks, and a there that I can't remember the details of. She looked at Danny from across the aisle. I hate to ask, but what was the bet you three had? Danny blinked. He rubbed his chin before finally speaking. I think whether we could soup King Blue Blood's crown off his head without damaging his heart. Or was it Bloodwing's helm? He shrugged. One of the two. Damned if I can remember. He let out a sigh. I missed the price. Carrot's door slowly swung open. Blues and Caramel standing there. We have arrived, Blues announced, stepping back and bowing his head while Caramel reached out and swung down the ramp, allowing every pony to exit properly. Megan stepped in front of the two stallions and curtsied. Like it very much for the ride, she said to the pair. She waited for the other five to express their thanks, chuckling slightly as Mike gently bumped his knuckles against Caramel's hoof. You two sure you don't want Tane? Caramel looked up at her, blushing slightly. Miss Megan, you really ought to give her a kiss, I tell you. He shook his head. I'm fine with missing out on such a fancy shindig. Besides, his gaze drifted to Blues and he smiled. I've got all the company I'll be needing on the walk home, I'll tell you. Molly suddenly grabbed Megan's forearm. Wait, I just had a thought. Dave stood there. I thought a spook could smell something burning, he remarked. Like I haven't heard that a million times before, Molly murmured. She focused on Megan. If Blues and Caramel are walking home, have fun! She suddenly sighed, waving at the two stallions as they tried off. How are we getting home? Megan motioned to the sky. Celestia arranged for a pair of chariots to ferry both our group and Twilight's back to Ponyville when we're ready to leave. She pointed to the pumpkin carriages as they were towed down the street by Earth ponies in fancy red vests. Besides, Twilight's spell only lasts until midnight, so you need to conserve her magic to teleport us back across the Rainbow Bridge. Her brow furrowed. Do you know mine to that? I thought mine to that. Molly lowered her head and looked down at me and down her nails. No, I think that little detail slipped your mind. Mike's gaze slid gently from the bigger sister to his older daughter, standing at the edge of the long path that led to Canterlot Palace itself and holding her phone up. He walked up to her. Danielle, honey, you all right? He asked, placing a hand on her shoulder. Danielle glanced back at her father. Dad, how hard is it to pull off spontaneous choreography with people or ponies you've never met? Mike blinked. He slowly looked up, spotting Twilight, Rarity, Dash, Fluttershy, and Applejack, and Pinky dancing about and singing, which I have just done. You people are welcome. That in itself did not give him pause. About 24 ponies doing line dances, backing choruses, and music coming from somewhere did give him pause. His head darted around, and he held up a hand to his forehead. He opened up his mouth. At the gala, they sing in perfect pitch. They pull it off without a hitch right here at the... Mike slid his hand over his mouth, almost as eyes of saucers. Several of the ponies and a pair of capris stopped behind him in mid-step, unsure what to do. A rather dapper unicorn stallion with a tuxedo, top hat, and tails bowed his head almost to the sidewalk. Mr. Richards! And Mike's not, he looked up. Keeping his eyes on Mike, but not meeting his eye. Is our compliment not to your liking, Mr. Richards? Megan was five-sided instant. She dropped down to one knee. Hello, I'm sorry about this, mister. That did tears. Unicorn replied, his cheeks turning red. Oh, you're the Magne! He dropped down to one knee. Several other ponies around the following suit. It is your honor to meet you, Magne. I hope the gala, no, I hope Canterlot itself meets with your approval. He looked up, his eyes shining. Does it? Megan reached out, gently stroked his mane. Hot and tails, care a lot is more than I could ever dream of. What has been built here is incredible. She placed her hand onto her chest. But please, my name is Megan. The magnate is a legend in time. She chuckled slightly. Do I feel like a legend to you? Hat and Tails' mouth moved for a moment. You seem like flesh, Megan, he started out. He looked up to her. Did you really command Mount Ecopips to resave itself? Megan snorted and rolled her eyes. No, not really. She motioned to the main entrance. Now, why does he go and have some fun, Hat and Tails? She smiled at the stallion about her once more, before looking to Mike, still with a hand over his mouth. Mike, I think you're okay now. You can let go now, alright? Mike swallowed and slowly dropped his hand from his mouth. He cleared his throat. No singing? He held his breath and his shoulders slumped. No singing. He looked at Danny rolled up. How did you deal with this when you were coming to Pony Land regularly? Danny shrugged. Oh, he used to laugh throatly after this. He looked up back as Molly and Michelle joined the quartet. So, we're all ready for the gala? He leaned back, popping a wheelie and waving at several ponies taunted approval. Actually, I'm right now trying to figure out if Danny ever actually has a song cue in the show proper. I'm really gotta watch the rest of the series. Megan threaded her arm through Mike's and leaned him slightly. Ready? Mike shrugged. As a hell of a He leaned down slightly and kissed her, lingering slightly before pulling away. Let's go! Michelle suddenly spoke up. Wait, where did Twilight and Freeze go? Molly pointed down the entrance. I don't think I saw them race ahead inside. Big Mac had a picnic basket in his teeth, and Applejack was hitched up to her concession stand. She let out a slow whistle as ponies gathered around the family. I'm really hoping Nita's will have holographs. She raised a hand, smiling weakly. Megan's lips twitched as she too waved. She and her family began walking around the carpeted path. I swear, Celestia, probably Luna, and I will have words about this, she said through great grief, even as flashballs went off. Big Macintosh and Fluttershy made their way through the crowded halls of the Carolot Palace. The rugged earth pony led the way. His large, purposeful strides and picnic basket gripped his jaws and parted the ponies, allowing him and his possible mare friend to quickly reach their back and their destination, the Royal Gardens. The two stood there for a moment, breathing in the cool night air sniffing the foliage. Fluttershy hovered in the air, looking around. That's odd. Where are all the animals? She held a wing to her forehead as she looked around. Big Macintosh set the basket down underneath the elm tree. Well, Fluttershy, maybe they're all asleep. I doubt most of them are nocturnal creatures. They're probably all tucked in, trying to get some sleep. The very yellow Pegasus landed. She gently kicked the grass. Oh, darn, she said. You're probably right, Big Mac. She let out a huff. And I was so looking forward to seeing the fauna here. Big Mac walked over to her and gently nuzzled her mane, causing her wings to rustle slightly. I'm really sorry to hear that, Fluttershy. I know how much you were looking forward to seeing the animals here. He waved a foreleg at the picnic basket. I did pack an extra lunch for us, too. I sure hope that could cheer you up some, he said, his head drooping slightly. Fluttershy's eyes watered. She leaned over and returned Big Mac's muzzle. Oh, Big Macintosh, I'm so sorry. She floated over to the basket and sniffed at it. Oh my, are these? She dropped to the ground and unwrapped the blanket covering the food. They are. She dug out a small carton. Those wonderful apple fritters you made. They're a for our second date. Big Mac tried over, grabbed the basket with his teeth, and tossed his head back, whipping the blanket out and allowing it to settle on the grass below the tree. Yup, he responded, pulling out some food and a six-pack of bottles filled with cider. I hope this is good enough to take your mind off of not being able to see all those animals, he said, his cheeks somehow turning redder than his coat. Fluttershy settled down, using her right hoof to open a bottle of cider. I may not be able to see the animals, but you're here with this wonderful food and drink. She smiled as she sat down next to him. As far as I'm concerned, this is already the best night ever. Twilight looked around, quickly spying both Celestia and Luna at the top of a long flight of stairs. She threaded her way through the crowd, beside the long line of ponies waiting to meet the Diarchs, until she stood just a few steps below the two alicorns. Princess Celestia! Princess Luna! She gasped out, grinning wildly. I'm so glad to see the both of you. She leaned her head to the right, peering behind Luna. Where's Cadence and Shining Armor? Have they arrived yet? Luna leaned her head down to Twilight's level. Princess mi amore to cadenza. Cadence, Celestia said out the side of her mouth as he stood close to Pegasus. Luna bit her lip, rolled her eyes, and snored, tessling her mane about and blowing off her decorative ear clip off. Princess Cadence is mingling among the guests. Captain Alma had a short meeting with General Steele about security before the gala and a briefing to give the royal guard, but he should be out there mingling with her amongst the crowd. She let out a soft sigh and scraped a gilded hoof across the floor. Twilight glanced down, then back up the Princess of the Night. Princess Luna, are you all right? Celestia's eyes stood to the left. I'm terribly sorry, she said to the next pony in queue. She stepped back, swung around, and gently nudged Luna with a wing. She trotted a few steps away, Twilight following her wake. The Alicorn's horn glowed, and a translucent barrier sprung up around him. Thank you, Twilight, she said, bowing down to her student. That was very perceptive and kind of you to ask about Luna. She glanced over her shoulder at Luna. The last gala Luna attended before it was still in a glorified picnic phase, as Megan put it. It was more pie and carnival than pomp and circumstance. She's had a bit difficult time adjusting, to be honest. Twilight's face fell. I had no idea. She scratched her chin with her hoof. Then again, now that I think about it, there's probably a lot of culture shock with her. Celestia nodded. Cadence and I have been helping her along, and Megan and Molly and Danny's return have helped her out a lot. Polyville's acceptance of her was also a great boon to her self-esteem. But my dear sister still has a long road ahead of her. Any response was cut off with a hush that fell over everyone in the room. Necks craned and heads turned to the entrance as Megan and her family entered. About a dozen ponies approached the sectet, bowing their heads low to them. The barrier faded as Celestia stepped forward toward the edge of the stairs. She spread her wings out and horn lit out. Everyone! Her voice boomed out, drawing everyone's attention to the diarch of the sun. We wish to formally introduce you to Megan Richards and her family. She walked down the stairs, Luna following in lockstep with her. The crowd parted before the Alicorns as they walked up to Megan. This is Mike, her husband, Danny, her brother, Molly, her sister, and her two daughters, Danielle and Michelle, Luna said, her voice carrying across the room as she pointed to each one in turn. A voice sounded out from the crowd. Oh my golly! A unicorn stallion stammered out. A mare beside him, shrinking back slightly. Looking for her gifts? The feather of the stable? Megan cleared her throat, gaining Celestia's attention for a moment. We're gonna have words later, she growled out. She walked forward, but stopped halfway to the couple as everyone dropped their heads. Please. A flesh of blood, just like you. She held out a hand. My name is Megan, Mr. Well, I'm Lifestyles, and this is my wife, Robin, he said, motioning to her. You're Megan, but the Magday had many names. There was a pause before Megan pasted a smile on her face. Yeah, and my real name was Megan, Mr. Lifestyles. I helped out the ponies in the days of Dream Valley because they were my friends, and they needed help. She held her arms out. But you did all the hard work building this nation, and I had to say, you did a great job with it. Lifestyles blushed, bobbing his head. Thank you, Magne, and thank you, Megan. Megan looked around and smiled. She clapped her hands together, everyone still staring. Well, don't stay around in our camp, she said, smiling. This is the best part of the year. You should all be enjoying yourselves. Memory ran through the crowds, and they backed up, turning back to their own conversations and activities. Megan let out a sigh and massaged her forehead. This is gonna be a long night, she muttered. She let out a yelp as Celestia and Luna's head suddenly entered her peripheral field of vision. Well, don't do it, she hissed out. Luna cleared her throat. My apologies, Megan. Are you all right? Megan leaned in close to Luna. Yeah, no, she shrugged. I don't know at the moment. She went to Celestia. Can we talk? Alone? Celestia slowly nodded. Yes, of course. Her eyes glanced up. Luna, I think it would be wise for you to go back to the Green Line. Luna followed her sister's gaze, and Megan turned around. All three saw the unicorn surrounded by various other ponies. Bits of her mane were already starting to shoot up, and her right eye was half closed. "I shall go assist your student," Luna replied. She laid down and nuzzled Megan for a moment, before trying off and up the stairs. Mike, Molly, Danny, Danielle, Michelle approached Megan. "Megan, honey, are you?" Mike's voice trailed off, and he reached a hand out to his wife. Megan braced against it and took her husband's hand. "I'm fine," she replied. She went to the rest of her family. "Celestia and I merely need to have a talk, is all." Daniel stepped around to the Alcorn's side and leaned over. "If she uses her full name, Roan," she said, crossing her arms and nodding. Celestia blinked twice. "I see, Danielle. I'll keep that in mind." Molly spoke up. "If it's all right, I'm going to wander around for a bit and mingle and find a buffet table." She patted Megan on the shoulder and tilted her head to the side. "Don't go too hard on Celestia," she half whispered before walking off. Danny pointed to the top of the stairs. "I think I'll know what I'll be doing for a bit." Before anyone could say anything, he grabbed his wheelchair's rims and surged forward, deftly maneuvering through the crowd. He stopped at the foot of the stairs, leaned his chair back, and rolled right up, passing by more than a few perplexed ponies. "Hey, everyone!" He crawled out waving. The wheelchair slowed to a stop next to Luna and Twilight as he spun around. "I'm Danny, and I knew Luna and Celestia way back when." He jabbed the thumb at her and held out his other hand to the Pegasus. "Nice to meet you." Luna slowly smiled and batted her head. "This is quite boring," she said to him. Danny shrugged. "We'll make it fun, then." He looked at Twilight. "Right!" Twilight covered her mouth with a hoof, but a giggle still escaped. She merely nodded before tearing to the next point in line. "Hi, I'm Twilight Sparkle, and what's your name?" Megan's mouth carried to the side before she waved Danny off. "All right. You'll be entertaining for a bit." She looked at Danny and Michelle, patted her daughters on the shoulder. "You two go and have some fun. We'll be back here in about 90 minutes, all right?" Daniel nodded. "Sure, Mom." She jabbed Michelle in the arm. "Come on, let's go track down Pinkie Pie Dash," she said, running off. Michelle ran off after Danielle. "Let's find Rarity, too," she cried out, grabbing her dress and tugging up slightly, as to not trip over it, as she followed Danielle. Mike met Megan's eyes. I don't think I'll track down the buffet table as well." He patted the cummerbund right across his stomach. "Get a little hungry." He gave her a quick kiss on the cheek. "Love you," he said, tilting his head to the side and whispering her ear for a moment. Megan's brow furrowed, but she nodded and returned the kiss. "Love you, too." She focused on Celestia. "All right. They're so quiet, tall, we could talk in." Celestia spun about a gilded hoof. "Please, follow me," she said, leading Megan to a small archway that led out to the main hall. The pair found themselves in a narrow hallway, for eyes away from prying eyes and ears. Celestia's horn glowed for an instant, and the background noise of the gallop vanished. She looked to Megan and swallowed. "Are you mad with me?" she asked, her voice wavering. Megan opened her mouth but hesitated. "No," she finally admitted. "Not with you, but with this whole Magne situation." She threw her hands in the air. "I never was one for too much pomp or circumstance, even back in the old days." She leaned against the wall and gently traced a finger across the patterns carved into it. "Now the ponies are bowing and worshipping me and my family." She looked to Celestia. "I know Star Swirl and Spellion had their reasons, and at the time it made sense. But damn it right now!" She clenched her fist in frustration and smacked it into the wall with a dull thud. She suddenly winced and waved a now throbbing fist in the air. "Ow! Not smart!" Celestia bit her lip, but her sides suddenly shook with pent-up laughter. She leaned her head down, and Megan's hand closed slightly. "Your temper was always well hidden, but it could come out when the ponies least expected it." Megan unclenched her fist and flexed her fingers. "Thanks, Celestia." She raised her hand and patted the Alcorn's face. "Like I said, I'm not mad at you, or Luna, nor really anyone here. Star Swirl or Spellion, though, or the Mood Chick, and those damn prophecies you told me about." She threw her hands in the air. "They did it with the best intentions. And look at it this way. At least they're not cowering from you or your family," Celestia said, winking. Megan tilted her head and stared at Celestia. "Don't you dare think you're too old, powerful, or big for me to take you across my knee," she said, extending her finger with each condition. Celestia stared back. "You wouldn't." Megan smirked. "Probably not, but maybe." She shrugged. There's still a lot of things I need to ask. Find out. Like what happened to the humans who used to live here? She held a hand. But we'll get to that later. Celestia nodded. Later, yes. But I can tell you they didn't die out. Rather, they went away. She shook her head. That's all I could say now. It was almost like those Lord of the Rings novels you brought over once. But why? The Moose Kid shrugged. He, Celestia, Luna, and Wind Whistler stood outside his house, a squat, mushroom-shaped abode.
Oh, well, it's time for us to leave,
He said.
There are new horizons out there, new places for us to go, new things to do.
He spread out his arms.
This world belongs to you now.
He reached out and gently pressed Celestia's muzzle.
I know you'll make something wonderful with it.
Wow. Irony. People. I was just asking myself that question just last night while I was watching the episode with Erebus. Interesting. Mega's eyes widened. She raised a hand and opened her mouth, but stopped and waved Celestia off. Tomorrow, or later tonight, she said finally. I promised Applejack I'd put an appearance at her apple stand, and I'm not breaking my word there. And you still got a lot of guests to greet, I'm wondering. Celestia arched her head back and stared at Megan out the corner of her eye. Megan! She exclaimed. Are you thinking of using your position as the magnate to help Applejack sell foodstuffs at the Grand Galby Gala? She waved a foreleg to her forehead, letting out an overly dramatic sigh. Megan stared at her for a moment. Well, it's not under my control if others wish to sample her wares after I say how good her stuff is. I'm simply expressing my opinion of what she makes. She waved her hand to the door at the end of the hallway that led back to the gala. Sally? Celestia turned around and began walking back. We shall. Molly moved through the crowd. She held a plate of snacks in one hand and a drink in the other. She paused every few steps as someone acknowledged her. Yes, hi. She said, a smile pasting on her face. Nice to meet you, even though I won't remember you 2 seconds from now. She said as the last part muttered. She walked down and through the door, into the open air as she rounded a corner. She dropped to the bench and looked up to the night sky. Rough night? Molly shrugged. Yeah, probably not as rough as Megan or Celestia's, especially with how God! She suddenly shouted, sliding onto her right onto the grass, throwing out her arms. Her plate and glass flew into the air, but their movement was quickly arrested by the glow of familiar glow of telekinesis, the food and drink settling back. Molly held out her hand to her heart as the unicorn stallion in a dress uniform slid out the pants. Herd, are you all right? He asked, holding out a hoof. I'm really sorry about startling you like that. Just fine, Molly gasped out. She took his hoof and allowed her to pull her right. As soon as my heartbeat goes down to below triple digits, I'll be even better. She looked him over, then to the pink alicorn still singing. Can't you shine an armor in Princess Mia Mori Cadenza, I presume? Kate stood up and turned to face Molly. Yes, but to my friends, Kate's smaller than enough. You are Molly, correct? Molly nodded. Correct, princess, she said, courtesying. Kate rolled her eyes. You don't have to be so formal, Molly. Her knows that its willingness not too well with me. Molly started. Man, no wonder you and Megan got along so well. Her eyes wandered about, focusing on her plate and glass as they floated back to her. She reached out, grabbed them, and sat back down. Thanks, she said between bites. Shining Armor and Kane sat back down as well. How's the gala? Shining Armor asked. From what I've read about the past, this is a bit more formal than you're used to. Molly drained the last of her glass as he let out a gasp of air. Just a bit, she said, grinning. She glanced at him. We got a little more formal when King Blueblood was around, but he loosened up after the first few. Heck, the third one, he don't even bring his crown. She motioned to him with her empty glass. But times change. Back then, it wasn't too fancy because it couldn't be too fancy. We were rebuilding Ponyland, so seeing Celestia and Equestria be able to put a party like this on is pretty heartening. Kate smiled, her horn glowed, and a teacup floated to her lips. I've read so much about Ponyland and Dream Valley. I've probably spent a few years worth of time I devote reading up on Earth as well. Her wings fluttered and ears twitched. I would have so loved to live back then. Molly's jaw tightened. The gray river of slime crested a hill, uncountable eyes staring up into the sky and all around. Lance itself was swallowed and intimidated by the Eldritch soup. The luckiest able to escape the soul-tainting smooths. No, I don't think you'd like it as much as you'd like, Molly finally replied, staring down at her plate. She chewed on a tiny sandwich. Well, things could get pretty damn dicey back then. Kane swallowed. I'm sorry, Molly. That was fun of me, wasn't it? Her ears folded back against her skull as he let out a mild whinny. Molly sighed. Nah, it's all right, kids. Old memories, you know. I don't exactly have rose-colored glasses. I could see my time back then. She straightened up and turned to her head. Actually, do you know?
It's a slang here we have here, Sayonara said, winking.
A barker laughed as Kate smiled. Okay, fair enough. She sat to the bed on the bench and looked off at the distance. Actually, did you two want me to leave? I think I might have been interrupting a moment between you two. Sayonara looked at Keynes for a moment before turning back to Molly. You're fine where you are, Molly. Take a load off. His gaze drifted out to her feet. Although Herd knows how much those tiny things feel at the end of the day. Keynes swung a wing over his head and groaned, Shiny! Molly merely sat down at her empty plate and glanced to the ground beside the bench before reaching over and swinging a shining armor. I'll have hands so I can do this! Her eyes flashed as each blow was deflected by a flash of shining armor's shield. Hey! No fair! Shining armor's nostrils flared with a sword. Well, yeah. The pair continued for a few moments before Molly threw her hands in the air. Okay, I'll give! She shouted, laughing all the while. She leaned back and stared at the sky. Damn! Luna did do a great job with the sky. Shining armor Keynes followed her gaze. There was silence among the three for a few minutes. Keynes finally spoke up. Does the night sky look like this on Earth? Molly shrugged. It's not as bright as where I live. Not lights and all. Safer, though. It's a lot better than stubbing your toe when you're out in the dark. She held a hand and jabbed her finger at Shining Armor. And do not comment me about hooves! Shining Armor looked away. I wasn't going to say anything, he said, his lips puckering slightly. Kate slid off the bench and extended a wing to Molly. Well, I don't know about you two, but I'm getting a bit hungry and restless. Care to come with me and dive back into the crowd? Shining Armor jumped off the bench, sliding out to Keynes. Where you go, I follow, he stated, staring into her eyes. Keynes leaned forward, puckering lips. Masaru pulled away and looked over to Molly. Coming? Molly blinked. Seriously? Aren't you two? She waved a finger from Keynes to Shining Armor. Keynes looked to her cold friend for a moment before looking back to Molly, Shining looking to her as well. We can have a bit of a private time later. For now, we'd like to get to know our new friend better. So he extended the wing and waggled the tips at Molly. Well, come on. Molly smiled and stood up. She walked to the pair, and the three walked off and back into the thick of the gala. Applejack got outside and slumped her head against the sand's countertop. She tapped the money drawer with a hoof, hearing muffled jingling of a few bits she had made off of one pie that a Pegasus had bought when she first set up shop. Since then, nothing. Various ponies walked by, not even giving her or her wares a second chance. What was I thinking? She muttered. No pony want my home-cooked food when they got all that smancy-pansy stuff around inside. Her head lifted slightly as Matt quaked up. Howdy, Matt. What can I do for you? Mike looked over her food, then leaned back and looked at all the others standing around, chattering amongst themselves. He reached into his second pocket and pulled out a 10-bit coin. What can I get for this? He held up his hand. And do not tell me it's on the house, either. Applejack opened her mouth, but eventually shrugged. Thank you kindly, Mike. You're a real gentle stallion. Gentleman, I mean. She placed a carton of apple fritters on the counter. Mike opened it up and held it over his nose and inhaled. Smells great, he said, his food stirring up. He turned around and began eating the fritters. Man, Applejack, he outside, smiling more as he turned his way. These are delicious. Much better than the food inside, that's for sure. Applejack's eyes darted about as a few ponies walked up their stands. Mac, what are you? Mike turned around and leaned over, coming within a few inches of Applejack. Megan's a bit busy with Celestia at the moment. She'll be over as soon as I can. Well, I figure I can at least get the ball rolling for you, he said, winking at her, smiling as well. Applejack bowed her head to him. Mac, delay for Chinese. A Pegasus mare with a pair of pitch-nez glasses
fixed approximately to her muzzles, then walked up. She looked over Applejack's food before motioning a glass of cider. Applejack gave it to her as she popped open with a twist of her wings. The crowd around her murmured as she took a sip, then chugged the entire bottle down. "Oh, may I have another, please?" she asked, reaching into a saddlebag and pulling out several coins. Applejack's eyes widened, and her mouth was stretched into a wide grin. Of course, ma'am." She placed another bottle on the counter and slipped the beads into the chain store. "Would you like a slice of pie with that too?" The mayor looked up to Mike, who gave her a thumbs up. Her brow furrowed a gesture. "Well, that means that's good." Mike looked down at his hand before smacking his forehead with the other. Ugh. Oh, I can be so dang sometimes. Yes, miss, that means it's good. It's delicious. He reached into his pocket again and pulled out more coins. "I'll take a slice, actually. These fritters put me in the mood." Your opponents began dragging into the pockets for a bit, or in the case, unicorns levitating about. Applejack held out for like, "How about now? If y'all please form a straight line, I can serve y'all better this way." Mike turned to walk off, but stopped before bumping into a pair of ponies. Oh, sir," he said, holding his arms and backing off. The pair stepped back as well. One was a unicorn with a light blue mane, monocle over his left eye, and a cutie mark of 3 golden crowns. He wore a rather dancing tuxedo top, almost identical to the one Mike wore. His companion was a rather graceful-looking mare, with a pink leg, long legs, and a cutie mark of Fleur-de-lis. She wore a rather simple white dress. "I say, not a problem," the stallion said, smiling. His monocle floated up towards Mike. "I do say, Mr. Richards, Mike Richards," he extended a hoof. "My name is Fancy Pants, good sir. Chancellor of Equestria. A pleasure to meet you." Megan grasped Fancy Pants' hoof and shook it, bowing at the lace. "Well, thank you, Chancellor." Fancy Pants chuckled. "Ha ha! Fancy Pants is fine, good sir." He withdrew himself and pointed to his companion. "This is my wife, Fleur-de-lis."
Fleur bowed her head. "An honor to meet you, Mike. You and your family honor Equestria by attending the gala."
Mike's cheeks reddened and pulled out his shirt collar. You two won't be bowing you, will you?" Fancy Pants' monocle jumped. "Bowing? Why, of course not." He leaned close to Mike. "I saw Megan at the reception area and heard her words. She and her siblings have a very amount of respect, according to her. But some of our contemporaries' actions were a bit over the top and embarrassing, no matter how well intentioned." He glanced at Applejack's stall, now with a large line stretching back. "Although sometimes over the top can work, wouldn't you say?"
"I love you, Fancy Pants."
Mike shrugged. "It was for a good friend, and truth be told, it was kind of fun, too."
Fancy Pants chuckled, but he let out a sigh as he looked at the line.
"Well, it might be a while before Flora and I can get some of this wonderful food, it seems. A same, too."
He stuck out his nose into the air and sniffed.
"Simply divine."
Mike turned to the stand and underhand tossed some coins. "Applejack, 2 cards of flares, please." He held in his hands as 2 cards sailed his way, catching them. He turned to Fancy Pants and Fleur and held them out. "Hands, very useful," he said, winking.
Fleur's horn glowed, and the cards floated out of his grip. "Horns, also handy in a pinch,"
she said, returning the wink. Mike chuckled, and his expression brightened even more as Megan walked up. "Hey!" he said, wrapped his arm around her shoulders in a quick hug, and gave her a kiss. "How was it between you and Celestia?"
Megan shrugged. "Got some stuff on my chest, but nothing major. I mean, I wasn't mad at her."
She leaned forward and looked down at the long line of Applejack's stand.
"Okay, impressive."
She held her face aside.
"I guess maybe I took too long with Celestia."
Mike shook his head. "Well, things come up, Megan. You can't be everywhere for everyone."
Megan's eyes shifted, but she remained silent.
Daddy looked around at the ponies, zebras, and even the giraffe gathered around his wheelchair. Luna stood behind him, and Twilight was to his left. He waggled his fingers down.
"All right, well, another one."
At their eager nods, he flipped to the photo album in his lap before stopping at one. It was Celestia, barely more than a foal, and sitting in a high chair. A bowl of food was in front of her, and her muzzle was coated in something gray and shiny. Megan stood to the side, spoon in hand.
"And here comes the choo-choo train,"
Megan said, wagging a spoon in front of Celestia.
"Open wide for the num-nums."
Celestia waved her hose around and laughed. She suddenly ducked her head right into the bowl and began munching into the baby food inside it. Megan looked at Heartthrob, who was shaking with laughter.
"Let me guess.
No spoons for the fowls. Everyone gathered around Danny and let out chuckles at the image.
I do say, it's rather refreshing to see our fair princess so down to equus. Indeed. Howdy good photos, Daddy. Very good indeed.
The zebra and giraffe smiled at the presentation. The diarchs also seemed a bit more real to them, now that they were being shown a bit more down to equus. Twilight stood up, gently leaned on the wheelchair's armrest, close to Danny's ear.
Danny, do you think this is a good idea? It seems a little embarrassing for the princess. They deserve respect after all.
Luna bent her head down.
Twilight, if Celestia and I cannot take a little ribbing, then we are poor rulers indeed, she said, winking at her. I've learned to loosen up quite a bit these past few days, and not take myself so seriously.
She spread her wings out.
Now, Danny, show them an embarrassing photo of myself!
Danny tilted his head back.
Okay, if you'll say it.
He leaned through the paces, finally stopping on the fold of a stage. 5 ponies were scattered about, musical instruments set before them. A young Luna was in the foreground, older than Celestia in the previous photo, but still a cutie mark less filly. A microphone was in front of her. Luna cleared her throat, producing some mild feedback through the speakers.
And now, our song for the talent show.
She looked through the others as they readied their instruments, then curled the microphone stand in front of her forelegs and brought it closer to her muzzle.
Shout, shout, let it all out. These are the things I could do without.
Come on, I'm talking to you. Luna ducked her head, and wings covered her head, her horn barely peeking out among the feathers.
Oh, I remember that.
Her wings folded back, and she stopped the floor, sending everyone hopping into the air.
We won first place!
The spectators glanced among themselves, before looking up at Luna and lightly stopping the floor in applause.
Good show, your majesty!
Danny looked at Twilight and motioned to her with her hand.
Say?
Twilight shrugged.
I guess. But still just so odd.
She rubbed her chin and arched an eyebrow.
I've always seen Princess Celestia as the apex of perfection, the guiding light of Equestria. I never even thought of her as a filly or a foal or young like this.
She let aside.
It's not too bad, just a little odd for me. A little disconcerting, too.
A voice from behind sent Twilight hopping to the air.
Oh, I don't know, Twilight. A little laughter's good for the soul,
Celestia said, walking up to Luna's side.
Good to see you again, Luna.
Luna smiled and bobbed her head.
Good to see you again as well, sister.
Celestia cocked her head to the side and eyed the picture Danny was showing.
Oh, I remember that. You beat out Baby Surprises' comedy routine and Little Mimic's magic show.
Twilight's head bobbed down.
Princess Celestia!
She glared down.
I'm so glad to see you. Finally.
She muttered, putting the last word under her breath. She approached the princess, but stopped and glanced back at Danny.
I'm sorry about the photos. He just pulled out the album and waved it around and everyone gathered around him.
Celestia blinked.
Well, it's good to see you as well, my prized pupil. But I don't see why you're apologizing for the photos.
She leaned over and looked down.
Oh, Danny, you're going easy on us,
she said, winking. Danny shrugged. I'll save you the really embarrassing ones for when you finally meet with Verse Layers. Twilight blinked. What? The diarchs exchanged a glance as Luna nodded to Celestia, the princess of the sun, and walked to the front of the group. Luna stepped back, letting out a sigh as Celestia began greeting the various gala guests. Danny rolled backwards, Twilight following.
Luna, you all right?
Luna opened her mouth, but stopped, brow furrowed.
I do not know. The gala has been enjoyable to an extent.
She looked to the high ceiling and a chandelier hanging from inside it.
Everyone here has been polite to me and seemed to genuinely want to meet me. I spent a lot of time with Celestia and the comments about my night.
She starts to hoof in the air.
They love it!
And we love your night, Princess Luna.
And I love you,
Luna shouted back to the random comment. She looked back to Danny, but her shoulders sagged.
Truly, the gala for me has not been bad, but it's so formal.
She glanced to the side, gaze drifting back through time.
Before the nightmare, Equestria was still small. The gala was more of a celebration of making it through one more year. We played, ate lots of food, sang songs, and made grand fools of ourselves.
Danny looked back over to his shoulder at the stallions in tuxedos and mares in formal dresses.
Now it's a fussy party for grown-ups.
He then looked towards Luna.
Yeah, I remember those early galas. they were all small because we didn't have much to celebrate with.
Twilight's lady directed to Celestia.
This night isn't quite what I've been expecting either. I was hoping I could spend a lot more time with Celestia, but she's either greeting guests or talking with Megan.
She turned her head and faced Luna and swallowed.
I mean, not that it hasn't been great with you, Princess Luna,
she said, flinching slightly and waving a hoof frantically in the air. Princess Luna stepped forward, looming over Twilight, but the Diarch smiled and bowed her head down.
I know the feeling,
she admitted, winking. She let out a sigh.
You're right, Danny. I too am glad we have much more to celebrate with. But there's not much else to do around here.
She grunted and remained wavered about.
There's not even a horseshoe throwing pit for her sake.
There was a sudden rustling. Luna's body shifted from side for side, turned around as Pinkie Pie suddenly appeared, standing on her back and loin. She pushed her pillbox-style hat forward and snarled.
Not even a horseshoe pit! She cried out. I can't believe it!
She hopped off Luna's back and rushed over to the wall.
Where is it?
She muttered, looking over the intricate columns and sandalwood. She suddenly cried out. She tapped a certain section and a panel retracted, allowing her to pull out a half-dozen horseshoes, a wooden stake, and a hammer and a rake. She galloped down the stairs, drawing stares from everyone.
Follow me!
Danny tapped her finger into retaining Pinkie, then at Luna's back. He waggled a finger too.
Wait, how did... I mean, where did...
He let eyes with Twilight.
How did she do that?
Twilight merely shrugged.
It's Pinkie Pie.
That's all there really is to it. Danny leaned back in his chair, but quickly shoved forward and grabbed his armchair's arrest.
Danielle? Michelle? Where did you come from?
Danielle and Michelle stood right behind Luna, expressions of confusion on their faces.
I don't know, Uncle Danny,
Danielle finally said. She patted herself down.
One minute we were in a large bedroom, a ballroom, sitting at a table.
Bored out of our scales, Miss Michelle growled, crossing her arms and pounding. Daniel's head bobbed back and forth before she finally shrugged.
Well, yeah,
she admitted, held in her hands.
And then we were here with Pinkie Pie.
She looked at Michelle.
What happened?
Michelle shrugged.
I don't know, but hopefully we can have some fun. The music was too slow.
Pinkie Pie suddenly appeared next to Danny.
I got it all set!
She sighed, turning around, galloping back down the stairs. She paused halfway and looked back up.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Celestia spoke up.
Luna, Danny, Michelle, Danielle, go on ahead. Twilight and I will catch up later.
Twilight blinked.
We will?
Celestia waved to roll her wing.
But of course.
She inclined her head to a pair of zebras standing before her.
Several attendees have inquired about you, and I would like to introduce my prized pupil to them.
There was a purple blur as Twilight was suddenly beside Celestia, foreleg extended.
Hi, I'm Twilight Sparkle.
Danny blinked and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Okay, she's all set.
Sally?
Pinkie's Pie looked around. She let a horseshoe fly. Landed halfway to the stake, bouncing on a bed of ground.
Oh, I was hoping for a ringer.
Danny rolled up beside her, gripping the horseshoe of his own.
He, Danielle, Michelle, Luna, and Pinkie
were in one of the courtyards, a stake hammered to the grass about 40 feet away. There was a somewhat large crowd of onlookers surrounding the quartet.
Not too shabby.
He leaned back and heaved the horseshoe, landing closer, but not quite reaching the stake.
Down, BL practice.
He leaned back.
Surprising how I had an epic tournament in one gala.
Danielle snapped her fingers.
That's right. Mom wrote about it in one of the My Little Horsey novels.
She pulled out her smartphone and turned it on, but her face failed.
Oh, no signal out here.
Danny blinked.
What, you expecting a signal out here?
Worth a shout. Danielle stepped up to the throwing line. She tossed the horseshoe into the air and landed just shy of the rake.
Ugh, so close.
Michelle looked at the horseshoe she held.
Pinkie Pie, why else did you have all this stuff hanging in the wall panel to Carolina Palace?
Pinkie Pie adjusted her dress and smoothed out some of the wrinkles.
I have them hidden all over Equestria for horsey-related emergencies.
She stood on her hind legs, leaned back, and without losing her balance, snatched a tray of snacks from a waiter with her teeth.
Thank you.
Danielle sighed.
Oh, if you're not somehow related to Surprise, I'm Discord.
No, that would be me. Rainbow's dad's jaw stretched as a yawn threatened to escape her, but she kept her mouth clenched. She was at a table in the VIP section, occasionally glancing over at the Wonderbolts and the throng of ponies surrounding the main region she wanted to come to the gala. Her rings fluttered slightly. Ugh, this is so lame! She groused. She looked at the table at her tiny companion. Was this why you wanted all of us to stick together? So you could show us around? Spike looked over from his overflowing mound of food that he snatched up from over. Pretty much. He opened his mouth and began tossing the food down as stimulously and scolded. I seen it to a gala 1 year before Twilight and I came to Ponyville, he said, followed by his repast. I think Princess Celestia had to carry me back home after. He stabbed his chest. If I ever become king of the Dragon clans, any party I have is gonna be rockin'! Death smiled at her friend's antics, but her expression quickly referred back to one of the ennui. She kicked her hair with her hooves. This is so boring! Spike rose in. I know a spot just around the corner from Caroline's Palace called Donut Joe's. It's 5 minutes from here, has great food and coffee. Twilight used to go there during late night study sessions. Which, for Twilight, probably means almost every other night. He waved Daz close to the center of the table. He's got some really good stories about her from back then. Daz's ears parked up. She hopped into the air and flew over to Spike. Slid her forelegs underneath his armpits and set off. First round's on me! Applejack slowly counted out the bits and jangles, keeping track of every last one she had earned. Her eyes gleamed as the numbers increased. Thoughts of new equipment, Granny Smith's hip surgery, a new barn popped before her eyes. She happened to glance at a pair of scrolls rolled up at the counter, each one a contract given to her by a business pony after they bought her food. I'll have Blake Mike look over these tomorrow, she said to herself, sweeping them into a drawer and locking it. Glasses of white and pink caught her eye. She looked up to see Rarity and Prince Blueblood standing before her. The former's dress was slightly disheveled, with a part of it wet for some reason. The latter's muzzle was thrust high into the air, as he regarded the few offerings left on the stand. Applejack tipped her hat to the pair. Well, howdy, y'all, she said, smiling. She waved a foreleg around at the mostly empty shelf. Sour, but almost all my wares are sold out an hours ago. See that chuckle? Oh, Rarity, you're so excited the line, I'll have it. Blueblood's muzzle leered. Apple pie, hay fives, and 2 bottles of apple cider. Rather common fare here, Miss Apple. Rarity's head shot over. What? She said, her voice rising. She turned her head at Blueblood's direction, teeth grinding together. That's not fair at all! She spun around, facing the stunning Rarity. Applejack's wares may be common, but her baked goods are some of the best in Canterlot Province, nay, all of Equestria. She looked forward, forcing Blueblood a few vexed faces. You have no right to insult her like that. She has done nothing to you. Applejack smiled and bowed her head. Thank you kindly, Rarity. Blueblood's eyes narrowed slightly. His posture tense. He turned to Applejack. No, she hasn't. His horn glowed, and a 100-bit coin floated over, landing on the counter. My apologies for the rude comments, elements of honesty. The 2 brothers floated up and over to him. He tipped one to Applejack before turning back to Rarity. May we walk alone? Rarity's body shook, but she turned to Applejack, mouth twisting. If you excuse me, Applejack, she said, following Blueblood. The pair rounded a corner, finding themselves at a dead end. Rarity waved for Blueblood to turn to her, before raising a foreleg and shaking a hoof in his face. All right, you elegant cur! Perhaps you can afford me why I should threaten you with grievous bodily harm, and then act upon said threats! She looked forward and opened his mouth. I always follow through on my intentions, you see. Blueblood swallowed, and a fine sheen of sweat appeared before his horn. Yes, I suppose you would, he cleared his throat. Let us lay the cards here on the table, Rarity Bell. Why are you here at the gala, and what interest do you really have in me? Rarity sprout first. Well, I came here to find true love, to find my Prince Charming, she snorted. Turns out it was all just a bit of a foolish fantasy. Blueblood raged her off. Oh, please, don't act like you're some wild-eyed idealist, my dear Miss Bell. You're here to try and marry to nobility. He held up a few inches from her mouth. And don't try to deny it either. I know you, Miss Bell. Auntie Celestia's talked a lot about you and the other elements of harmony, and I've done my own research. You're enraptured with Canterlot and high society. Rarity pushed herself away. And so what? Besides, it's not like I court just any pony around here. I'm in it for love here. Blueblood nodded. I don't know, but a line I've heard 1,000 times. His face shook with a rather smug expression. Do you have any idea how many mares have said they were in it for true love, only to find them trying to get the numbers for my bank accounts? Now, Auntie is normally a great judge of character, but even she's wrong on occasion.
Rarity's entire body shook. How dare you lump me in with some common trump! She shouted. The prince bared his teeth.
And how dare you think you should be treated any better when you admit you're here to work Mary up?
He rolled his eyes at the sky.
Time and time again I've been approached by males with bit sides in their eyes and avarice in their hearts. They see me as a giant purse and ladder to the upper echelons.
He fixed the glare of Rarity that sent her flinching back.
So you will excuse me if I don't take your word for there being a noble purpose behind your husband hunting.
Rarity sucked in her breath as he paced back and forth for a minute before finally looking back at Blue Blood. You know what? You're right, she admitted, hanging her head. I was more interested in the social ladder than love, and that is wrong of me. I treated you like a target, not a stallion. Blue Blood eyed her. But, Rarity let out a breath. But if you weren't interested in me, then why didn't you simply send me away? Why string me along like this? Blue Blood's jaw opened, but no sound came out. His cheeks flushed red and crit the ground. Rarity straightened herself up and adjusted her dress. I did wrong. I admit it to you, in all of Equestria, she said, her voice rising on the last words. Her mouth turned up corners. What about you, Blue Blood? What about your actions this evening? Blue Blood snored, but Kate's gaze leveled.
I wronged you, Rarity Baron. I admit it to you, and I'm sorry.
There was silence between the two for a few minutes, neither one not sure what to do or what to say. Finally, Rarity bowed her head to Blue Blood before turning and leaving. She cantered back and forth, finally arriving at Applejack's stand. She let out a sigh, standing there. Applejack looked her over before tucking her head down. She emerged with a large jug and a pair of glasses. She poured Rarity some smoky brown liquid and slid the glass over to her.
I'll talk about it.
The glass flowed over to Unicorn's lip and held it back. Rarity drained the entire contents of it either, her entire body twitching. Oh, wow! She licked her lips, and the glass flowed back to Applejack. Not yet, but please pour another of those, darling, and I might have a few more bets. Megan pitched the horseshoe high into the air, let out a cry of triumph as it landed right on the stake. Ringer! Celestia and Luna let out overly dramatic groans, swaying their heads. Not fair! Luna cried out. You have hands! Megan barked a laugh. She, Luna, and Celestia were at the horseshoe pit. It was close to midnight, and the gala had wound down completely. By and large, they were alone, their friends and family gathered elsewhere, preparing to leave. Thank you. I had a good time. She went down. Celestia? Luna? May I ask a favor for you for tomorrow? Celestia blinked. Of course. What? Megan clasped her hands together, twiddled her thumbs. Any chance we could go to the Everfree Forest and visit the castle there? She shrugged her shoulders and shook her head. I know. I don't know why. I'd just like to visit it if possible. She let loose a chuckle. God, almost sounds so stupid here. Celestia shook her head. No, you don't sound stupid in the slightest. She walked over and wrapped a ring around Megan, pulling her in for a hug. Would you like me to pack a lunch? Megan giggled. Hi, sir. Why not? Luna glanced at the moon. The hour is late, and the gala is almost done. She walked to Megan, leaned down and gently nuzzled to her. Thank you for coming, she said. Tomorrow? Megan patted Luna's cheek and smiled. She glanced between the two alicorns. Tomorrow. And thus did everyone have the best night ever.